Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here. I know that we are keeping you from lunch, so we appreciate you all joining us here. As I mentioned, I'm Deb Tannenbaum. I run human resources for Yapstone, which is a payments company headquartered in San Francisco Bay Area, and we have our international operations here in Drogheda, actually, outside of Dublin. And so it's a real pleasure to be talking about diversity. And I thought before we actually kick it off to our panelists here with the questions, that it's such a broad topic, diversity, that we define it somewhat for you. And diversity has expanded much more than just gender diversity, ethnic diversity. Even now we have generational diversity. It's the first time in organizational history that we have 5 different generations, potentially, under one roof. But there's a common denominator amongst all these types of diversity, and that's how we think, how we problem solve, how we decision make, how we organize ourselves within organizations. And so that's actually, when we talk about diversity today, we're going to be focusing in on that broad definition, and each one of us have a different perspective, if you will, different opportunities and experiences in our organizations. So I thought I'd go to Jen first. Welcome. Maybe you can share a little bit about you, your background, and then what about diversity are you experiencing within your organization?
Great. Thank you. So I'm Jen Taylor. I'm head of product at Cloudflare, which means that I partner really closely with a cross-functional group of people to innovate and deliver product to market. So you're dealing with product managers, engineers, product designers, marketing, sales, and support. And in that perspective, there alone, you get a lot of different diverse perspectives on the problems we're solving and how to solve them. But what I've come to realize over my time in my career in technology is what truly differentiates good product from extraordinary product is bringing in and inviting as many different perspectives and prisms of thought as you can on the problems in front of us. And so for me, I'm passionate about diversity because I think it creates an opportunity for all of us to learn and grow, and then for those of us in the technology sector, translate that into the best products we can build.
Great, fantastic. Carmen, welcome.
Welcome, thank you so much. So yes, I'm Carmen. I'm a national chairperson for women in business, and I come from Austria. So in Austria we have a special situation, perhaps it's very interesting to talk about, because in Austria at that moment you run a business, you're automatically part of the Chamber of Commerce. We are law-based, so you can't be not part of the Chamber of Commerce. And in this role, I'm responsible for 17,000 female companies, you can say. And I'm faced with the day-to-day problems they have. So everything like childcare and coming back and just our empowering the female things in the country. So
this is great. So Carmen's perspective is around the women, diversity, business, how to power up women in business. So I'll look forward to hearing more about that. Yeah. Barbara, welcome.
Thank you so much. My name is Barbara McCarthy, and I'm the Director of Engineering for a company called HubSpot, and they're headquartered in Boston, in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And we have our EMEA headquarters here in Dublin. So I suppose the way I think about diversity is a little bit similar to Jen, because within the engineering organization, we're partnering with product managers, designers, analysts, user experience specialists, lots and lots of different types of people and talent and skill sets in order to try and develop the best product. And I think we were talking about this earlier on, that many of us can think of disastrous examples of bad product design or bad product engineering where you have very homogeneous cultures, and it's so important to have diversity of thought in terms of how we problem solve and how we innovate and how we bring products to life.
Yeah, as you sit and watch these ladies up on this stage, it's a very unique experience because in both the United States and in Europe, there's a very small percentage of females that are actually in technology leadership or business leadership opportunities. In the US, only 1 in 4 are actually in some type of leadership role in technology. There's only about 22% that actually participate in engineering the EU. So this is really quite special to have this level of leadership here. So I'm looking forward to it. Tell me, Jen, a little bit about some of the challenges that you're experiencing at Cloudflare when you think about diversity.
So we at Cloudflare, we're growing quite quickly, and we're growing across the globe. We build software in Europe, in the United States, and to some degree also in the Asia Pacific. As we look to scale up our team, we want to make sure we're bringing the best and the brightest and the most intentional thinkers into the organization to help us really think about how do we scale and grow. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it's important to think about how do we bring in diverse perspectives that are inclusive of the cultures that we operate in, mm-hmm. and are respectful and inclusive of the environment that we all want to work.
That's great. And maybe we'll jump over to Barbara real quick, as it's similar. So what kind of challenges are you experiencing?
I think similar challenges in terms of, obviously, we want to bring in a diverse workforce. I think that, we hear the same thing from when we start to think about how do we bring in that workforce in terms of, you hear about the funnel problem. There isn't enough diverse candidates in the funnel. We hear about, it's all maybe skewed from an age perspective towards younger within the technology field. I think that what we've tried to do in HubSpot is just kind of think outside the box as to how we solve those problems. The same way as we would think in terms of solving any engineering problem. It's like, don't think of it in terms of, oh, well, there's the problem, so therefore we can't do anything about it. So we've tried lots of different programs, and some of them are quite experimental. I'm not sure if we'll get it right, but we're always trying to learn and iterate. Like we have... we've just this year started a partnership with a company that it's called Level Up is the program, mm-hmm. and it taps into the refugee community here in Ireland. So very, very highly qualified workforce, maybe not necessarily in the tech industry, but that allows us to actually help put them through potential boot camps and then hire them. And it means it's life transformational for the candidates, but it also means that from hiring or solving your funnel problem, mm-hmm. that's just one particular program. We do lots of others like returner programs. We do a lot of campus initiatives like helping female engineers get their CVs noticed, because what I found from hiring, or doing a lot of hiring, is that when I see a stack of CVs, and I don't know why this is, but you won't see as much side projects or technology projects on female students' CVs. And so one of the things that we've done, and we've done them in a good few of the universities and in HubSpot, is we have created these female-only web app dev workshops. So that's not specifically candidates that will definitely arrive in HubSpot per se, but it's actually just given back to the community and given back to the ecosystem to kind of say, okay, well, let's just encourage and grow the potential talent pool that's out there. So.
No, that's fantastic. Carmen, as you're working with women in business in Austria, what are some of the challenges? And I think your organization actually helps to do some of the different projects and so forth, like Barbara has spoken about.
Yes, thank you. So when we talk about companies in Austria, I have to tell two facts, I think. So about 90% of the companies in Austria are small or medium-sized companies. That means they have 10, perhaps 20 or 30 people, and that's it. Just 10 or less companies are really, really big and really, we can say, international big companies. Mm-hmm. So the small companies don't have so much money, so much time to get into those technical details. So we need to support them. We need to give them some bridges to say, look, here that's a tool for you. So we do journeys like this to get the impact and give it to them, because there's no opportunity for them to go outside every day and do it. On the other hand side, we have special mentoring programs. So we take young women funding their businesses and help them above the 2nd or 3rd year, mm-hmm. that they can grow big. So, it's always this gap the tax comes and also these things come, and it's really challenging. And then we support them. We give them network, we give them funding, we give them special education so that they can go out. And we build network outside the country. It's very important for young women to go outside. Don't stay inside your box. Yeah, go outside, be open-minded, and come back and then bring the solution or build the solution. And also, don't be afraid to get in contact or in cooperation with a big company. You never know what's happening. But take the chance and think about it, and don't stay at home in the home office and say, oh, I'm just alone, I just can do this and that. We come from a very traditional country, so often we have the infrastructure, but we need to open up and speed up the mindset, because times are changing very, very fast. So,
I think that's true in organizations, right?
Definitely, and I think one of the things I've come to appreciate about diversity is that, and you can kind of pick it up from the comments that we're all making, it has to be an intentional effort, right?
Yeah, agreed.
It has to be something where the organization says, we want to go focus on diversity, because it requires an organization to be able to take stock, to set goals. It requires an organization to be able to kind of face a situation that may or may not necessarily be an immediately comfortable thing, and then to intentionally say, we're going to go do these things because we want to affect this change.
But more than that, I think from all the statistics that are there at the moment, we know that by hiring and having diverse teams, it means it's a better bottom line for the company. So it makes, financial performance and performance of your teams, that all makes sense. So to your point, I think that's hard to change the mindset, but it definitely shouldn't be, this is an altruistic thing to do, or, oh, isn't this nice, we're really good people because we value diversity. More so, it's actually just makes good business sense.
Absolutely. I just jump in. I think that there's a subtlety around diversity when we talk about this. It should just be a natural part of doing business, to your point. And if it makes such good business sense, why don't we do it? And because that's that subtlety around diversity, is that, and we were talking a little bit earlier, is that there's these unconscious biases that, which is your mindset, is that we have to have the awareness of when that happens. And we see it in organizations. You talked about it, Carmen, of like being home and having a mindset and having a bias about certain things. At my company, we were going to interview female engineers, and we wanted to bring them in, and we were very passionate about that, and we found out that they weren't getting hired. And when we looked at it and pulled back kind of the curtain, if you will, we noticed that it was men who were interviewing them, and women problem solved different. They were getting the same answer, but how they did it was different. And because they weren't doing it the same as the men, they unconsciously were rejecting them, saying, nope, nope, nope. And then when we were able to kind of highlight that, it was like, wow, didn't even know it was happening, thought we were very proactive around diversity, but then we had to change how we interviewed to be more aware of those unconscious biases. So that's about mindset, right? And have you all experienced similar things in your organizations?
Yeah, I think from a recruitment perspective, I think we have to be very conscious and very specific in terms of our intentions. Like in terms of even just screening names off CVs and, any personally identifiable information, so that, you're looking at a CV for the strength of the actual experience on there and the talent, not anything else to cloud your judgment. So we always try and have female engineers interview female engineers. Now, it might not be a full panel, but I think, number one, it probably makes people feel more at ease, and genuinely, I think you won't maybe potentially get some of the unconscious biases that are there. So I think there's lots that people can do to actually, say, how can we do this better? How can we learn? How can we grow?
I think the important thing, too, to remember is that the diversity starts with the recruiting, but in order for it really to realize the impact of the organization, it's also about breeding an organization that has in its mindset an inclusive mindset.
Yeah.
That, you just mentioned a moment ago, sort of the challenge of a thought process within a recruiting loop. How does that then come into a product development process? How do you open up the product development process to be more inclusive of that? The other thing that I have seen really have an impact is to look to the whole organization to do this. And often, typically the leadership of the organization historically has been more male, and really looking to male leaders to be mentors and advocates for people within the organization, including women. When I have conversations with women about how do you grow your career, and I was like, do you have an advocate? Do you have somebody who's advocating for you? And having a male leader take on that role and responsibility, or having leaders in the organization take on that role and responsibility for the diverse population that you're building is very impactful to help kind of coach them and mentor them through. And I think that people, when I talk to leaders who are mentors and advocates 6 months into doing it, I'm always surprised at how impactful that relationship is to that leader in the way that it transforms the way that they think about themselves and they think about leadership within the organization.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important as well to celebrate the differences in the team as opposed to, be afraid of it or anything else. So I think, to your point, Jen, about creating a culture that's inclusive and allowing people to feel as if that they belong there no matter where they come from or, what their background or anything. I think that you need to be able to, as a company, to celebrate those the differences on your team.
Absolutely. Carmen,
I'm very familiar with this because you don't should do a thing like men against women or things like that. It often happens when we talk about diversity. Yeah, the male thing and the female thing, future is together. I'm absolutely sure. And we need to do everything that teams are mixed and also organizations get mixed. In my case, I'm a national chairperson for women in business, but I have to take care that we mix up with the male system, because in the case of mentoring we talked about, in my personal case, the door openers have always been men. They were in a higher level in the systems, in my own career and also in the chamber, and they focused the global thing going on and said, okay, we need tough women going forward, looking around and open the door. And then when you build network and when you go big, you need the women. The door openers in my case, and that's what I see got thrown around, are the men in the high positions that are very open-minded, that want to create also new role models. That's very, very important for us, for the next generation, to give them some opportunities to also to take care of how do we handle education in our countries.
Yes.
So we just focus a new project. It will start up in 1 or 2 months. We are preparing everything to keep the teachers into the companies as volunteers for 1 or 2 weeks. The big companies, they are acting international so that they get a feeling and an experience of what it means to be in a company in the year 2019.
Yeah.
Because the young people have to step in there, and also the women, they have to get another picture of themselves. Yeah.
This is great. So maybe we can transition a little bit into the future. We think about these are all women who are in different stages in organizations that are passionate about diversity and inclusion. And so what does the future look like for Cloudflare when you think about expanding diversity? And what's one thing you feel that you can be doing to help advance inclusion in your organization?
So if I fast forward and I think about diversity within Cloudflare, I think first and foremost about the impact that I think that diversity and inclusion is going to have in terms of differentiating our business and our product. I mean, I think already I've witnessed, since we've turned our sights over the course of the past 18 months to being more squarely looking at, as we're recruiting and as we're looking at evaluating teams, like where are we at in terms of mix of gender diversity? Where are we at in terms of mix of underrepresented minorities? Where are we at in terms of the mix of those things within the context of our leadership teams? I've seen, as we've shifted our focus to that and really invested more in doing that, that our product or our business has just continued to accelerate and grow. I think about what could we be doing at Cloudflare that would continue to make this better and deeper, and what could I be doing? I mean, I think my work as a leader is never done in terms of challenging myself and my organization to think about and create more inclusive and diverse workplaces. I really like what Barbara was talking about in terms of the work that HubSpot is doing beyond the four walls of the organization to do things that create opportunities for these underrepresented minorities to have these experiences, to help make them stronger candidates walking in the door. I think if I were to task myself with one thing coming out of this panel, and one thing I really take away from this conversation is that's something I want to go invest in.
That's fantastic. Carmen, when you think about your country, Austria, and the future and women in business, what do you see on the horizon, and what's one thing that you're really focusing in on that you're passionate about?
So actually, when we look at the startup facts that we have in the country, between 46 to 57% of every company is led by women.
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic. That's a big topic we have, and so we we start to create a model in Europe, I think. Mm-hmm. And with our national structure, with these chairpersons and with the law-based membership of the chamber, we can make a role model, I think, in Europe. Mm-hmm. To put it up, to be a best practice. And inside our country, we have to do some, homework, let's say, with our media also, that they pick out examples that are facing this reality, and not only the strong man doing everything great. Mm-hmm. We are here with a big delegation. One of them build up their own business with baby clothes. You order, you get a box every day or every month. When your child is growing, it automatically has it in the system, and you get automatically the new clothes. It's very great. So they laughed at her and said, women business. But she made a lot of money in the first year. But she's not, I'm so proud and everything like that, because she's focusing to do her way. Mm-hmm. And it's our role to give them face and to give them voice. So we have to focus inside to do the homework, and outside to be a best practice, I think.
That's fantastic. So Barbara.
For me, I mean, obviously from a HubSpot perspective, I would hope that, in continuing to build diverse teams, that we will continue to grow in a similar trajectory that we have been. But I suppose more so for me, I kind of think, when I think about diversity and inclusion and belonging, I actually still think we've a lot to learn. And I hope that the future for us will be to continue to make those steps, think outside the box, keep learning, keep pivoting, keep trying things to make it work and make, to be, I suppose, an inspirational company for other companies to look towards when they think of diversity and inclusion. And for us, that we've a lot to learn. I'm sure we'll make mistakes, but we will continue to try.
It's fantastic. I have been in business for a long time, dating myself, so 20 plus years, and diversity has continued to be a topic. And it doesn't go away, because we were talking earlier, it's a process, it's not an event. Each organization, each one of you are probably at a different stage in your company of even thinking about diversity, thinking about inclusion, having conversations around unconscious biases. But that's okay. You kind of start where you're at and continue that process and continue learning. And like I said, I think the evolution that we're on now, especially in technology, is that it makes better business sense to operationalize diversity of thought in your product development process and how you start up companies by having different genders leading companies. So it is going to be a continued dialogue. It's not just a one-time talk right here. And we're going to be here at the event, walking around. If you have any questions or want to continue the dialogue with us and learn more about what we're doing in our companies. But I want to thank you, ladies, so much for participating on the panel. Thank you for listening.